This is Honest Eve, and today I want to talk about something that quietly destroys a lot of marriages. The day a good husband emotionally gives up. Not the day he leaves, not the day he stops paying bills, not even the day he stops saying, "I love you." The day something inside him quietly decides, "I don't have anything left emotionally for this relationship." And the scary part? Many wives don't even notice when it happens. Because externally, he still looks present. He still goes to work, still helps with the kids, still sits at the dinner table, but emotionally, he's already halfway gone. Most wives expect emotional collapse to look dramatic. They expect screaming, huge fights, a man storming out of the house. But a good husband often shuts down quietly. He becomes calmer, quieter, emotionally flat. And because there's less fighting, many wives think things are getting better. In reality, he's slowly disconnecting from the marriage itself. Good husbands rarely stop caring overnight. They stop caring after years of emotional exhaustion. This video is about how that happens. Most good husbands do not enter marriage emotionally unavailable. They start hopeful. He imagines a peaceful home after hard days, a wife who feels like his safe place, a relationship where both people protect each other emotionally. He doesn't expect perfection, but he does expect partnership. He expects respect, affection, emotional warmth, appreciation, and the feeling that the woman beside him is genuinely on his side. In the beginning, he tries hard. He plans dates, checks in emotionally, listens carefully, works harder because he believes he's building something meaningful. A lot of wives forget this version of their husband later. They forget there was once a man who smiled more, talked more, and genuinely wanted connection. That version was real. And that's what makes emotional shutdown so painful. Because emotionally checked out husbands are usually not men who never cared. They are men who cared deeply for a very long time before something inside them slowly collapsed. And most of the time, that collapse doesn't happen because of one huge betrayal. It happens because of repeated emotional pain over many years. One of the first things that slowly kills a husband's emotional investment is feeling invisible. At first, he happily carries responsibilities. He works long hours, fixes things around the house, shows up for family obligations, handles stress quietly. And for a while, he does it with love. But over time, he notices something painful. His effort is expected, not appreciated. When he sacrifices, nobody notices. When he forgets one thing, suddenly that becomes the entire conversation. He hears things like, "You forgot again. You should have done more. You never help enough." Eventually, a dangerous thought begins forming in the back of his mind. Nothing I do changes how she sees me. That thought changes everything. Because once effort stops feeling meaningful, emotional motivation begins dying underneath it. He still performs responsibilities, but emotionally, he starts disconnecting from the reason he once did them with joy. This is usually the first crack. Not anger, just exhaustion mixed with invisibility. And many wives miss it because the husband is still functioning. But functioning and emotionally connected are not the same thing. A lot of wives think husbands stop caring because they are selfish or emotionally immature. But many good husbands stop caring because they feel emotionally attacked almost every day. Not always through screaming, sometimes through constant small criticism, the eye roll when he speaks, the sarcastic comment in front of friends, the "why would you do it like that" tone. At first, he pushes back. Then he explains himself. Then he tries harder. But if every conversation still leaves him feeling stupid, wrong, or unwanted, Eventually, he stops emotionally participating, not because he's evil, because he's exhausted. Most men can survive hard work. What slowly destroys them is feeling like the person they love most sees them primarily as a disappointment. Over time, criticism changes the emotional atmosphere of the marriage. Home no longer feels peaceful. It feels like a place where he is constantly being evaluated. That's when emotional withdrawal begins. And many wives mistake this withdrawal for lack of love, when in reality, it's often emotional survival. This is the stage that permanently changes many marriages. A husband reaches a point where peace becomes more valuable than emotional closeness. At first, he still wants to fix things. He wants conversations, solutions, connection. But if every serious discussion turns into emotional explosions, blame, endless circular arguments, or emotional chaos, he eventually learns something. Trying harder only creates more stress, so he adapts. He talks less, shares less, feels less. Not because he's emotionally dead, because silence feels safer than conflict. From the outside, it can even look mature. He doesn't argue anymore. He just lets things go. But internally, something very different is happening. He's not calm because he feels loved. He's calm because he's emotionally detaching from the outcome of the marriage itself. That is dangerous, because once a husband emotionally disconnects from the outcome, he also disconnects from the emotional investment that kept the relationship alive. He stops trying to deeply reconnect. He starts surviving the marriage instead of participating in it. And most wives don't panic yet because he's still physically there. But emotionally, he is already drifting away. Another thing that pushes a good husband toward emotional surrender is repeated rejection, especially physical rejection. Most women think men simply want sex, but for many husbands, intimacy is deeply connected to feeling wanted, chosen, desired, emotionally connected. So when every touch gets rejected, when affection disappears, when intimacy becomes rare or forced, it doesn't just frustrate him physically. It wounds him emotionally. Every "not tonight" slowly becomes "you are not wanted here." And over time, this changes how he sees himself. At first, he thinks, we're just going through a rough season. After enough rejection, it becomes, maybe I'm not attractive anymore. Maybe I'm only useful. That shift is devastating. He stops seeing himself as my wife's man and starts seeing himself as a provider, a helper, a roommate, nothing more. Once a man starts feeling unwanted inside his own marriage, he stops reaching emotionally. Not because he no longer needs love, because it becomes humiliating to keep asking for something that keeps rejecting him. Most wives expect emotional disconnection to look dramatic, but usually it looks quiet. He stops arguing, stops planning dates, stops bringing up problems, stops trying to impress her. From the outside, the marriage can even look more peaceful, but internally, he has emotionally stepped away from it. This is the stage where many husbands start saying things like, I'm just tired. It's whatever. Do what you want. He's not calm because everything is okay. He's calm because he no longer believes fighting will change anything. And once a good husband reaches this point, bringing him back emotionally becomes incredibly difficult. Because now he's not trying to build closeness anymore. He's protecting himself emotionally. A lot of women panic only after this stage. That's when they suddenly say, why are you so distant? You never talk anymore. You used to care more. What they often don't realize is the emotional exit started years earlier. If you are a man listening to this and quietly thinking, that's exactly what happened to me, hear this clearly. You are not weak for feeling emotionally exhausted. Any human being who repeatedly feels unseen, unwanted, disrespected, emotionally unsafe will eventually begin shutting down. That doesn't excuse every decision a man makes, but it does explain why good husbands sometimes quietly stop caring long before they physically leave. And if you are a woman listening, understand this. Most good husbands do not want to emotionally give up. They slowly become that way after years of feeling like the relationship takes more from them emotionally than it gives back. If your husband still reaches for connection, still tries to talk, still wants emotional closeness, do not take that lightly, because once a good man truly stops fighting for connection, bringing him back becomes incredibly difficult. And if you want to stop a marriage from reaching that point, someone has to interrupt the cycle before resentment hardens permanently. That means listening without instantly defending, speaking without contempt, taking his emotional pain seriously, protecting each other's peace, and rebuilding emotional safety before it completely disappears. Because the day a good husband emotionally gives up, the marriage may continue physically for years, but emotionally, something irreplaceable has already died. This is Honest Eve. Men, if this described your experience, say that's me in the comments. Women, if this made you uncomfortable, sit with that feeling honestly before defending yourself. And if you want more conversations about what really happens inside modern relationships, subscribe and stay. I'll be back with more of what everyone feels, but almost no one is willing to say out loud.